share. Give the show a like and a share. Jabari Wadlington is going to join us. He's an executive chef, very talented and experienced executive chef. I first fell in love with Jabari Wadlington's cuisine at Restoration in Crozet. I followed him to Farm Bell Kitchen, now the talented chef guys at the DoubleTree, where he's the executive chef. Jabari's going to join us in about 23 minutes on the I Love CVille show. Give the show a like and a share. Give it a like and a share on any of the pages you're watching. We're going to start streaming today to YouTube. So if you guys are fans of YouTube, this show live streaming to our YouTube channel. We add LinkedIn tomorrow and Instagram as well. We're expanding. What's that?
No, we don't. LinkedIn might be a while.
We add LinkedIn tomorrow, and we'll do YouTube. YouTube URL, J-Dubs?
Let's see.
Give the show a like and a share. Give it a like and a share. Welcome, Michael Johnson. All right, Judah, let's get started. I didn't realize it was going to take that long.
Okay, quiet on the set.
Good Tuesday afternoon. My name is Jerry Miller. Welcome to the I Love CVille show. We're live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country of the world, on the I Love CVille network. Give the show a like and a share on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, and welcome to the program, guys. Jabari Wadlington, our guest, an executive chef of tremendous proportions. Jabari Wadlington, the executive chef at the DoubleTree by Hilton. He's a seasoned, talented, well-traveled chef. We'll spotlight his journey on the I Love CVille show and catch up with one of the good guys in the business. Jabari, I'm looking forward to chatting with you today on the I Love CVille show. We'll talk about the fall of the Falwells. My. The last 48 hours for Jerry Falwell and his wife Becky have been, I said it yesterday, the fall of the Falwells is literally like a script from The Young and the Restless. I just need to see Victor and Jack and Cricket make an appearance. And then I feel like I'm at 12:30 at my grandpa's house watching The Young and the Restless from 12:30 to 1:30 on CBS. So that story coming up on the I Love CVille show. We will also talk sports, guys. How many fans in attendance at Scott Stadium? How many fans in attendance at Lane Stadium in Blacksburg? The Miami Dolphins are going to open up their their stadium to fans in the National Football League. We'll talk about that, how it pertains to college football. We let you know last week that the Georgia Bulldogs are opening up their stadium in Athens to 23,000 people. I'm curious, how many are going to come to Scott Stadium? How many will be welcome to Lane Stadium in Blacksburg? That topic coming up on the I Love CVille show. The University of Richmond is barring outsiders from its campus. You heard me correctly. The private school in capital city here in the Commonwealth, U of R, barring outsiders on its campus. Well, we see that at the University of Virginia. Virginia State University just went online only and canceled dorms. UVA employees are starting a union. You heard me correctly. The University of Virginia employees, right now it's the low-rung employees with not much seasoning, are trying to start a union. And folks, what is the future of airports? American Airlines in October is cutting 19,000 jobs, and the airport in Richmond, one of the key airports in the Commonwealth, is down 70% year over year, 2020 July versus 2019 July. They are down 70%. What is the future of airports? We're going to analyze that on the I Love CVille show. And how about the surge in new construction? July in fuego for newly built homes across America. We have that story for you on the I Love CVille show. Give the show a like and a share now. Hammer the like button, hammer the like button, hammer the like button. Judah Wickhauer is our director. Judah, why don't we give some love to Interstate Pest and Service Companies, a 4-generation strong business. Interstate Pest and Service Companies is a home's best friend. This family-owned business has been doing it since 1969. They are your first phone call for mold remediation, for inspection work, for just getting you on a pest control plan. Interstate Pest and service companies. Judah Wickhauer, again, the fabulous director. And Judah, I think we would not be doing our viewership we would be doing them a disservice if we didn't talk about the fall of the Falwells. Let's get that headline on screen from Virginia Business. This is the most soap opera story I've ever seen in the Virginia Business publication. Less about business and more about a sordid triangle of love, an affair that you see on the silver screen, and certainly not a romance and sexual affair that you would expect from Liberty University, its president, the first lady of Liberty University, Becky, something that's been going on for years. So things started falling downhill with Jerry Falwell when he was caught on an Instagram stories, an Instagram live with his pants unbuttoned next to his wife's assistant, holding his arm around his pants, or his arm around his wife's assistant, around her shoulder, as they both had their pants undone, and he's holding what looked like black fluid in a cup. Once that started happening, he gets suspended, and then, boys and girls, there's a story Sunday night in the Washington Examiner, and then the third part of the triangle of love, the young man from Florida, he releases a story with Reuters, talking about the affair. So Liberty, I mentioned this statistic to you yesterday, the largest enrollment in the Commonwealth of Virginia is at Liberty University. The second amount of students enrolled online in any college in America. University of Phoenix has the most online enrolled students of any college in America. Liberty is 2. Jerry Falwell Jr. was trying to build Liberty University into the evangelical Notre Dame. So the evangelical Notre Dame was Jerry Falwell Jr.'s plan. His fall from grace, a quick one. A quick one. You read the details. I'm not going to get into them on this program. Just a really messy situation that you see from movies and soap operas, and not a school like Liberty in our backyard in Lynchburg. So we're going to follow this very closely as we continue to assess the collateral damage. He has now pieced out and resigned as president of Liberty University, a school his father made relevant. Folks, we'll follow that closely. Judah Wickhauer, I want to get to the next headline, my friend. The next headline is from Richmond, Virginia. And how about this? The University of Richmond, prestigious school, awesome school, one of the best in Virginia, undoubtedly. The University of Richmond is not messing around. They are straight up saying, if you have no business being on our campus in Richmond, Virginia, get off our property. We are closing the campus to outsiders at the University of Richmond. In fact, the Robins Center, the basketball arena, is being converted into classrooms, temporary classrooms. Classes began on Monday at the U of R. The school's permitting only students, faculty, staff, and contractors in campus buildings during the pandemic. Signs all over Richmond are enforcing the policy, which has an undergraduate enrollment just over 3,000. It's a 350-acre campus. It's absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. I consider the University of Richmond myself as a senior in Williamsburg, Virginia. I ended up matriculating to the University of Virginia instead of the University of Richmond. But U of R, the Spider, straight up say, don't step foot on our campus unless you're staff, faculty, students, or contractors that work at U of R. I expect this to be a mindset that's shared by other universities. In fact, I would not be surprised if you see this rolled out soon. I expect to see Charlottesville at the University of Virginia, Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, William and Mary in Williamsburg, to also keep outsiders from going on grounds as they try to control a pandemic. It's tough because I don't know about you, my family and I love walking around grounds, but at the same time, do what you got to do to get out of this. U of R not allowing people not tied to the university to walk on their grounds in Richmond. The next headline from Virginia State University, and how about this one? Virginia State University, guys, just said, peace out, we're done. Virginia State University goes completely online. VCU cancels on-campus housing yesterday. Initially, the school planned to begin the semester online and move students into its 11 residence halls on September 14th. The extra time was meant to allow its 4,000 students, faculty, and staff to be better tested at home as they return to VSU. So Virginia State University says, peace out, we're done. We're going online. We're canceling housing from a dorm standpoint as well. Interesting story. Very good coverage from the Richmond Times-Dispatch. I read a lot of Richmond publications. Frankly, I read a lot in general. And the president of the university was very frank. And the president said, COVID-19 is impacting people of color more than white people. And the data backs it up. The president of the university at Virginia State University says, we have, and I'm going to read the quote verbatim, VSU serves a population that is at a higher risk of COVID-19, the president said. We recognize that despite our heartfelt efforts, meticulous planning, and precise preparations, the virus is relentless. VSU is a historically black university. The school president acknowledged that the black community has been hit hard by COVID-19. As a result, they are getting out in front of this, and they are absolutely limiting any in-person activity at VSU, Virginia State University, a historically black college. Folks, good move right here. I respect it. Here's the tough part. VSU did not fall victim to this. Other schools have. NC State has. UNC has. More on NC State later. A lot of the parents have already spent a lot of money taking their kids to school. That's getting a hotel, that's packing the car. You know how much of a pain in the tail? Remember what it was like when you brought your kid to college? Or remember if you were a kid, what it was like as your parents tried to pack you in a car for a year, living away from your house? It's inconvenient. So a lot of the parents have already packed and taken their kid to school. So a school like VCU trying to get ahead of this and say, look, slow down, don't move in yet. I wish other schools had done that to save some of these families money and travel and time. But Virginia State University goes completely online. Now, let's stay in the university sector, okay? And Judah, I sent you a headline that's upcoming from American Airlines and them firing 19,000 people. So take a look at that. First, let's get the UVA employees trying to start a union headline on screen. UVA employees, and it's a lot of the low-level employees right now. It's not the high-level ones, the tenured ones. So right now, it has not gotten the traction that you think it would. It's on screen. Look at the screen. Look at the screen. UVA employees trying to start a union. These guys do not want school in person. UVA employees said, no, 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 no. We want a union. We're going to call for the semester to be completely online. Most of the ones that are in the union now are graduate students and low-level totem pole folks. But this could be something else that materializes from COVID, more collective bargaining. We saw the power of collective bargaining, and we saw the power of unification and putting numbers together with Charlottesville City teachers. Charlottesville City teachers, Shannon Gillikin and her peers, quickly came together, created an open source letter through Google, and presented this letter to the Charlottesville City School Board, a very organized approach for Charlottesville City schools, essentially an early stage version of collective bargaining. They did not form a union, but they had a voice from a collective group of people. Well, that could be something that manifests itself from COVID-19. The influence or the prioritization of collective bargaining or the power in numbers. We saw that with Albemarle County teachers. We see Orange County teachers struggling to get their collective bargaining voice in order, and as a result, Orange County's in school. We saw Charlottesville City teachers organize quickly with one common voice, and it had an impact on the school board and the superintendent. We saw the same thing from Albemarle County. Its teachers unified very shortly thereafter Charlottesville City teachers, and one voice and one letter sent to the school board had an influence in Albemarle County. We're now seeing this at the University of Virginia with the lower level employees as they try to bring their voices together to try to influence Jim Ryan and the Board of Visitors. Will it work? Only time will tell. But perhaps one manifestation or one thing that's been birthed from COVID-19 is collective bargaining. Now let's go to airports. And I'm going to spend about 5 minutes talking about travel here on the I Love CVille show. Before I go to a macro headline in American Airlines, I want to talk about Richmond Airport, Judah Wickower. Let's get that headline on screen, my friend. You know, the airport in Richmond, passenger traffic decreased 70% in July of 2020 versus July of 2019. I'll repeat that statistic. Passenger traffic at the airport in Richmond, which is one of the best. Okay, I love traveling from Richmond. It's absolutely fantastic. Passenger traffic at this airport decreased 70% July 2020 versus July 2019. That is a lot. And 70% airports are not going to be able to sustain. We will analyze the future of airports on this show, and we'll give a macro headline to you from American Airlines. Get that on screen now. American Airlines in October is straight up already telling us that we will cut 19,000 jobs in October. 19,000 jobs. The carrier expects its fourth quarter capacity to be half of year-ago levels with travel demand still down. Airlines have pushed for an extension of $25 billion in federal payroll aid to avoid furloughs. I will cut straight to the chase. If the airports don't get a second round of bailout money, massive layoffs will happen across the entire industry. Routes will be cut across America. The cost of flying will increase because there's less bodies in the tin cans. When there's less bodies in the tin cans, prices will go up. We are at a crossroads of historical proportions for the airline industry and all the employees that work for this industry. Richmond Airport will see routes cut. Richmond Airport will see furloughs and layoffs. You cannot run a business at a 70% reduction in capacity year over year and not make drastic cuts across the board. The question I have for you, we do not feel comfortable going in restaurants inside. Many don't feel comfortable going inside movie theaters. If we don't feel comfortable going inside restaurants or movie theaters that are operating no more than 50 people inside each individual theater and seats set 10, 15 feet apart in a 50-person movie theater, why would we feel comfortable riding on an airplane? Until we get a vaccine, and a ubiquitous, approachable, rolled-out vaccine will not happen until 2021, regardless of what you're hearing. Until we get a vaccine, this industry is in absolute peril. I ask myself, which industries in the short term will step up and fill the gap and fill the void? Well, if you've noticed, electric vehicles and the sales of electric vehicles are spiking through the roof. Folks would rather get in a car with their wife, their mom, their dad, their husband, their uncle, their aunt, and their kids, as opposed to get in an airplane with strangers. As electric vehicles become more ubiquitous, and as the price points for electric vehicles become more reasonable and approachable, and as charging stations sprout up everywhere in America, certainly everywhere in Charlottesville. Aren't you seeing those charging stations for EV vehicles sprouting up everywhere? This type of transportation is going to begin cannibalizing trains, planes, and buses. Public transportation, the thought of it is absolutely terrifying right now. As a result, CAT, Charlottesville Albemarle Transit, is doing whatever it can to scrape by and stay alive. Charlottesville Albemarle Transit is the body on the ER operating room table, and a handful of doctors are over this body with the electric pads trying to restart the heart of Charlottesville Albemarle Transit. That very well could be the way of the airlines if we do not get a vaccine. Now, folks, I will follow CHO and Charlottesville Albemarle Regional Airport closely as they release statistics year over year on how their business is suffering. My friends, I am very fearful that the cost of flying is going to go exponentially higher. My friends, I'm very worried that those employed by the airlines will be furloughed and lose their jobs at clips we've never seen before. My friends, I am very worried that routes will be diminished and cut across the country. And my friends, I expect transportation from electric vehicles to soon cannibalize people from getting on planes, trains, and buses. We will follow that very closely on the I Love CVille show. Very quickly, Judah Wickhauer, before we get to Jabari. Jabari, I'm going to reach out to you in about 2 minutes here on the I Love CVille show. new construction. People want to get out of apartments. They're tired of an 800 square foot apartment that they're sharing with a buddy, that maybe they've been in an apartment one time in February in all of 2020 and are essentially paying $2,000 a month to store their clothes in a city. People are getting frustrated with that. And what they're doing is they're building their dream homes from a new construction standpoint. I have the statistics to back it up. Folks, new home sales surged 36% in July. New construction, working with a builder like John Kerber of Dominion Custom Homes, surged 36% in July, new construction. This is the strongest 1 month of new construction since 2006. Did you just hear me? This is the best month we have had for new construction sales in America in 14 years. That is the influence of COVID-19. Now, I learned something today, Real Talk, powered by the Yes Team Realtors. It's a show we do on this network, 10:15 a.m. on Tuesday and Friday, powered by the Yes Team and Keith and Jonas Smith. Keith Smith, the star of the show. And what he's seeing, and we talked about this today on the show, what he is seeing in today's world is the home is being more than just a home. The home is now our palace. We need a place to work out because we're not going to the gyms. We need 1 or 2 offices to accommodate mom and dad working from home. Heck, we may even need a 3rd office now so little Johnny doesn't have to learn his A, B's, and C's in the coat closet, or little Sarah doesn't have to learn her arithmetic in the pantry. So maybe homes now need a Zoom room for mom, a Zoom room for dad, and then a learning place where Susie and Johnny can learn virtually because they're not going to school. Maybe homes today need the backyard because we're quarantining and we need to get outside and we need to do it in a safe way. But what's happening with a lot of homes is people are choosing to customize their home at levels that they will never see the ROI on. For example, we're seeing a lot of pool construction. We learned this today on Real Talk, powered by the Yes Team Realtors. The return on investment on a pool that you install in your backyard, a new pool, will never match the money you put into that pool. Please be mindful of that. So while new construction is surging, and while the need for Zoom rooms, fiber internet through Ting, you can save $288, Judah Wickower, through iloveseville.ting.com. Put that link on screen. It's the cheapest price for Ting fiber internet you can get, iloveseville.ting.com. So while you need the Zoom rooms, while you need the fiber internet, while you need the backyard, the customization that is happening may not translate into ROI, especially if we find a vaccine and get out of this COVID tunnel that we're in. So we'll follow that very closely. But the stat, new construction surged 36% in July, the strongest 1 month clip since 2006. Pretty impressive. Judah Wickower, I'm going to reach out to Jabari now. Jabari Wadlington, I first fell in love with his food at Restoration in Crozet. I followed this executive chef, the Farm Bell Kitchen on West Main, now at the DoubleTree on Route 29. One of the good guys in the business, one of the best chefs that we know, Jabari Wadlington, our guest, and he is now on the line, Judah Wickower, on the I Love CVille show, where we're live in Commonwealth, the country, and the world. Jabari, if we can get you to turn that camera on for us so we can see your face, my friend, that would be great. All we need you to do is tap the screen, and we will have you live for our audience. There you are, sir. Looking good, looking good. Judah's giving me the green light. All right, Jabari, before we talk shop, sir, how about an introduction to you? I'm going to steal some of your thunder. Badass chef, father, beautiful wife, husband, family man, loves Charlottesville, just a likable, cool dude. All right, I'm out of your way. Who is Jabari and what is he all about?
Food's always been my life. I've done this for, I would say, about 13, 15 years now. A long time. went to Johnson and Wells, Tuskegee Universities, and worked under some pretty cool chefs from Tom Wolfe in New Orleans, which was Emeril Lagasse's first chef that helped open up all the Emeril's restaurants. Worked with Tarver King out of Northern Virginia. So many accolades, this guy. He's worked at the Fat Duck, in Little Washington. Um, I worked at Goodstone Inn in Middleburg with him. Worked with Chris Carey. He showed me so much. He actually worked with Christian Kelly at Clifton Inn years ago.
Wow.
So I come to have a little camaraderie with Christian, and Christian's a good guy. And I've really just been trying to just hone my skills and just really get out in the community. My big thing is always to get out in the community, whether I'm opening a restaurant in Raleigh or I'm here in Charlottesville with my family now. And Charlottesville really has opened up to me with open arms from the family of Local Food Hub. They really helped me out a lot with a lot of things, doing a lot of fundraisers with them. From the owners at Happy Cook, doing cooking shows with them. So Charlottesville's really become a big part of my heart now, and definitely trying to be part of that and try and help Charlottesville grow with it, with me in it. So I've been around for a little bit. What actually brought me to Charlottesville in the first place was Trevinia. I worked for Trevinia Italian Kitchen for about 4 years. My store was in Aiken, South Carolina, and my mom lived in Northern Virginia, so I wanted to get closer. And we opened up the Charlottesville Trevinia, and the company was going through some changes, and I got an excellent opportunity. A friend of mine, Karen, who worked at I guess it was Topeka's at the time, and she said Topeka's is about to close, Shadwell's is about to open, they need a executive chef to open it up. And that's kind of what led me to the restaurant scene here in Charlottesville from a local standpoint. And Shadwell's was kind of the breaking point for that, and then we ended up through ways, and then I was left Charlottesville for about 3 years. I was in D.C., and then my son was born. And we were going to either stay in Northern Virginia or come back here. It's cheaper to live in Charlottesville than it is Northern Virginia, believe it or not, from daycare or anything. So I came back and tried to get back in the swing of things, and it's been a roller coaster ride, but it's been fun ever since. And now I'm at the DoubleTree in Charlottesville after leaving Farm Bill Kitchen. I couldn't say anything more nice about the people, Hubbard and the family of Farm Bill and Red Hub. They've really opened their arms to me, and they were really kind, and gave me a lot of leeway to do a lot of things. And the prep cook that I work with at Trevinia is actually the executive chef at Farm Bill now. So she's worked under me for so long. And Ophelia and Sandra, those two girls, man, look out for them. They are rock stars in this town, and they're taking Farm Bill with the reins, and they're doing a really, really good job there.
I love it. I love it. So a lot to unpack here. This guy, one of the best chefs that we know here. So he mentions Christian Kelly. Christian Kelly, the executive chef and co-owner at Maya Restaurant. I will also say this, and someone passed this along to Christian Kelly. If you took any chef in Charlottesville and you put him on the bench press, Christian Kelly is going to do more reps on a bench press than any chef in Charlottesville. The dude is freaking jacked. He is jacked. He mentions the Happy Cook, Steve Belcher and Monique. At the Happy Cook, who are doing great classes over there. He mentioned Shadwell's, PK, Ben, and Tommy, now ownership at Shadwell's. Farm Bell Kitchen, Ryan Hubbard, the fabulous guy behind there, and Red Hub, the barbecue joint right down the road from Farm Bell Kitchen. So Jabari, you know kitchens in this town more than most. I'm going to get out of your way.
So, yeah.
Yeah, Restoration, Farm Bell,
yeah.
Trevinia, Shadwell's. I mean, you know it more than most. Okay, I'm going to get out of your way. COVID-19, Charlottesville, restaurants, anywhere you want to go on that topic.
Oh, wow. You had made a comment, I think it was like in March or April, and you was like, this carry-out, takeout scene is going to be the new normal. And I was trolling on that. I was like, no, it's not going to happen. It can't be. And I think I was talking to my friend Alex, which was the executive chef at Downtown Grill, and we talk every once in a while, and we're trying to figure out, and we're noticing there's so much leasing space. But then we're looking at what restaurants are being successful now, and they're sticking to that grab and go model. And another person I've been watching closely is Angelique from Angelique's Kitchen. She started for the food truck. She's got a spot going into the dairy building, and it's a grab and go model. There's not a lot of overhead. You don't need bartenders. You don't need to buy a liquor license. There's so much overhead that you get away from. And even myself, I've even thought of like, okay, the grab and go carry out model is the way to go. Because even if you take it to a smaller spot, or if you take it to the old school bistro scene where it's just a couple seats, you come and get your food and get out, or go sit on the patio, enjoy the view, is what I feel is going to be the next thing, unfortunately, for the next couple of years. I don't think the whole fine dining scene can be where it used to be, especially with the amount of money that goes into it. The china, thousands of dollars in plateware, silverware, linens, wine inventory, liquor inventory, food inventory. And I think for restaurants to be successful now, it's got to be lean and small, limited menu, cross utilization of product, using a lot of local products and being able to cross utilize that. If you can get a pork butt and you can make 4 or 5 items with a pork butt, you're golden. And I think that's essentially where it's kind of going to in order for these businesses to kind of stay afloat and do what they want to. I've been looking in the area to try and do something of my own. I just recently started Wadlington Hospitality with a side gig of JB's sauces and spices. Right now I'm dealing with the Department of Agriculture to try and get some sauces approved. So you will be seeing me at the farmer's market and selling some hot sauces and spices. But right now, especially at the DoubleTree, what we're essentially focused on, we want to be able to have those amenities for the rooms and the people there. And we have so much space there to, especially for the community. And a lot of things that people don't know, the DoubleTree is actually by a small owner. He's out of Baltimore, and it's ran by Mr. Singh. So it's not a primarily owned by Hilton. It's actually small business owned individual. And what we're trying to do is try and get the community back into the DoubleTree. We have the space. We've talked about trying to at least try and figure out doing maybe even small openers, projector screens. We have a huge courtyard in the back. From my understanding, years ago, they used to do a bunch of gingerbread house competitions there. So we want to bring that back. We're thinking about trying to start a chili cook-off where we're bringing amateurs and local chefs there. And I think bringing the community back and trying to get all these chefs together, especially the ones that are back and the ones that are still furloughed or laid off or trying to do small ins and out gigs, this is the perfect time for them to kind of showcase them at the DoubleTree. We're working on it, but we want to be able to use our space to help the community do that. And I think that would be amazing to see in the forthcoming.
So I'm getting a heads up right here through my earpiece. You have 11 different restaurant owners watching you right now in 4 states, Jabari. I'm going to ask you a very tough question here, and I'm curious of your take here. Do we think fine dining is dead?
I'm a big fine dining. I started off in fine dining. It's always like a thing in my heart. I don't think it's dead. I don't believe it's going to be dead at all. I think it's just going to take a while for it to come back. I think when the whole food truck moment, there was Michelin star chefs leaving their business. When you're dropping in hundreds of thousands of dollars every month to get that Michelin star or that James Beard Award, they're just getting the food truck and they're putting out that good, same quality product on a food truck. So the experience factor in a fine dining, I think it still comes, but I don't think the food will disappear. I think you'll be able to get that same quality food no matter if it's fine dining, food truck, bistro, small, grab and go. And that's the big thing. People, at the end of the day, we all come for the good quality food. And the food is what brings us together as a culture and as a human race.
I agree. This guy makes incredible food. Incredible food. All right, so you're saying fine dining is not necessarily dead. It's just the setting where we enjoy food that is fine dining is going to change. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it'll take some time. Because when you talk about fine dining, you're talking about tableside service. You're talking about close proximity. You're talking about one table might have 3 to 4 servers working on that one table just to provide that good quality service. We're talking wine service, coffee service, tea service, dessert service. All that's really close in proximity. And right now, we're not at liberty to be able to do all that. So I feel once all this blows over, fine dining will probably even be back to where it was and back in full swing. Good
take right there. Jabari got questions coming in. This question's a good one. Chef, which part of Charlottesville do you see being the most vulnerable from a restaurant standpoint, and why? That's a good question from one of your colleagues right there. What do you think?
Downtown Mall.
You think so? I'm downtown. You feel downtown? Why?
Leasing, space, corner. I went on my way from work. I did the long way home, and I drove through the corner, through Main Street, through downtown, and it was kind of disheartening to see all these closed restaurants, and even some that were just doing the patio seating. I see. The only reason why I say downtown mall, even though it has the most traffic, is the amount it costs. It's these leasing. When you're talking about having to put out an amazing amount of rent in order to start something up, that's what's going to make it hard. Downtown Mall has all the traffic for everybody. I feel like the ones that the area in Charlottesville or Albemarle County that would do the best are out towards Forest Lakes area where there's families. People are already out there. You have a lot of people having to do virtual learning for the kids. They don't have time to go all the way out to downtown mall now. I feel like this is the opportunity for some restaurants to kind of branch out into the county a little bit more and not be so so focused in one particular area. Because we had this conversation before COVID, the parking situation. We had the big parking situation. People were tired of paying, trying to find parking. Albemarle County is a huge county, and I feel like this is the opportunity for a lot of restaurants to kind of branch out into the area a little bit more and kind of go out to where the families are and the communities are. You know, you have a community out towards Prophet. You have a communities in Earlysville. You have communities out Forest Lakes area. You know, Avon, 5th Street. I think those particular areas, if you can bring some restaurants, some nice good restaurants out that way, I think it'll do really well.
Good take right there. I agree with him. How about this question? You have experience at a big brand that is now, and correct me if I'm wrong, no longer in Trevinia. Trevinia was kind of a regional chain that you have experience with. You also have experience with a one-unit operation, and say like a Farm Bell Kitchen. Well, I guess Farm Bell also has a sister restaurant in Red Hub right around the corner, but essentially a one-unit operation. Can you compare and contrast the big guy versus the little guy and the advantages and disadvantages each one has?
The little guy is always going to be able to have the most leeway when it comes to trends, changing up. I think the best thing that we were able, especially with me and Ryan, we have conversations about the menu. We would be able to sit down, have a conversation about what's selling, what's not.
This is at Farm Bell Kitchen.
And then we'd be able to make that change. Yes. Okay. And we'd be able to make a change. Now, from a corporate standpoint, if you start having some items that aren't selling, you have to go through research and development stage. You have to go ahead and start pulling your P-mixes. You have to start going through everything. Then now that you have multiple restaurants, now you have to go through a training program. Now you have to grab all the products you need. Now you have to start bidding on products so you know that you have it, so you know that you're able to get into multiple states. So a lot of times when you're trying to meet a trend that's going on right now, it's hard to get to it. And by the time you get to it, the trend's over. So I really feel like the small guys and the mom and pops, they have the upper hand when it comes to the food trends and staying up with keeping up with the Joneses per se, because they can make those changes on the fly. They can get what the people want a lot faster. Corporate, where you have a big chain, you have to take your time. You have to research. You have to make sure you're getting all the right product. You have to go to the training. You have to train all your managers. You have to train your front of house staff. You have to train your cooks. You have to make sure everybody knows it. You have to do testing. So a lot of that is what goes into play from the big guy versus the little guy.
Good take. What happened? What do you think happened with Trevinia and Stonefield? Jabari, I was here in rent at $28,000 a month. That is a hell of a lot of lasagnas and a hell of a lot of cocktails over there. That place was dope, dude. The fire pits were fantastic to have cocktails by outside. The food was actually pretty legit too. The overhead seemed astronomical. What was your take on what happened with that location in Stonefield?
The Stonefield, now I would say I wasn't there the longest, but the rent was definitely hard. I think with how things were going, Kevin, Cox, and Mark, they took me in with open arms. Douglas Austin, the owners and chef, when I was 24 years old. And they had me running a store in Aiken, South Carolina. And we made everything from scratch. And I think along the way, we got a big following. Everybody loved the product. From South Carolina and North Carolina, opened up a store in Morrisville, North Carolina, right outside of Raleigh, where I met a lot of good people. Matt Nottingham, a lot of good people, and along the way, we've grew the brand. And from there, we had the brand, so that we started growing. The company was growing well. We had Ralph that came on board to help get the company back in line and get everything ready. So because we were growing pretty fast, I can't speak too much about the financials and how everything was going, but I know there was a lot of restaurants along the coast, all the way from Florida up to Leesburg and Richmond. So there was a lot of restaurants all over the place. And when you're talking about the restaurant game from the big side of things, I can't speak too much on, but that's a whole nother animal. It's a whole nother animal. You're dealing with location. You're dealing with leasing in different states. You're dealing with trends, trying to stay up in trends. What's in Kentucky? What's going on in Florida? What's going on in South Carolina? What's going on in North Carolina? And trying to stay up with what's going on in each area. I think people charge way too much for these leasing spots, for these commercial leasing spots. Restaurants, when it comes to overhead, we're talking wine inventory, liquor inventory, plates. Plates break all the time. Glasses, tableware, tables break. We have to fix plates. Equipment, an oven breaks. If you have a brick oven, if you have an oven in the back, all that stuff you need costs money. And I think when you're spending a lot of money on nice things, because everybody likes the nice glassware, nice plates, because they think they're in a nice place. But one plate just itself could cost between $10 to $30 for one plate. And I remember whenever we're doing costing on plates and trying to get plates, you want it to be a nice plate so you can get people out there, but it costs a lot. So little things just like spending thousands and thousands of dollars on plates, and it's just a minuscule of what's in a P&L on a restaurant. Linens, all this stuff come into play. That's why you see barbecue restaurants do it very well. It's paper, disposable, napkins, that's it. You don't have to deal with all this breakage and having to have a dishwasher.
That's
and
why
buy
I
chemicals.
really like, I'm going to throw this to you and get out of your way. You're a hell of a lot smarter than me. That's why I like the Jack Browns. Have you been to Jack Browns in the downtown mall? Yeah, so they have no vegetables on their burger, nothing that's going to go bad. They serve them on paper plates. They just throw it away, so it's not like they need the dishwasher outside the glasses of beer. They're not carrying liquor for the liquor inventory. They don't have the broken glassware that you're talking about because everything's served on paper. And their spot is super teeny.
Right.
and it's off the beaten path where their overhead is.
Right.
Is this the model of the future? Is it something like a Jack Brown's, or could it even be a ghost kitchen that has nobody inside, or just a food truck? Laura Fonner, a badass chef, leaves Dooners to create a dumpling food truck with Champion Hospitality. And she's crushing.
She's doing awesome.
So what are you thinking? What's your crystal ball say?
Yeah. For me, I've always said, and I tell my wife this all the time, I'm like, I would rather have a small restaurant with 5 seats with a line out the door than a 125-seat restaurant with no line. Because I've built a demand, I see people coming, and people know that this is the...
We still got you? Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No
and
problem.
people know this is the place to be. So I always stuck to that small model. The smaller, the better. If it's good, people will wait. If it's not, they won't. And when you have a smaller spot, you don't need as much staff. Your quality is better. You're able to pay attention to your guests a lot more. You don't need to you don't need to hire so many managers to take over your multiple rooms, multiple seat restaurant. Now, I'm not making fun of any of the big restaurants out there. That's good. But it costs a lot more to maintain those larger restaurants. And I think for especially some of the chefs that are out there that are ambitious, that want to be able to do their own thing, they're going to start small. And the best way to do it is to start small. And I think the best example, I worked at a restaurant in Leesburg called the Wine Kitchen. The kitchen was the size of a bathroom. It was stupid small, about 12, 15 seats, and it was one of the best restaurants in downtown Leesburg. And now they have multiple wine kitchens all over Northern Virginia area because they took that model of the small and took that revenue to invest in more stuff. If you start big, you're going to end big. But if you start small, you're going to end a lot bigger.
Dude, great take right there from Jabari. This dude is crushing this interview. All right, you got a lot of people watching. Let's say that one of these people that's watching has got some deep pockets. They got 100, 250K. They want to kick it to Jabari. Give us the elevator pitch on your business model, your restaurant that's going to come to fruition. Give us the 30-second pitch, Jabari.
Well, from looking in the area, I had 2 ideas. One was Uncle Cheese's, which was essentially everything cheese. Grilled cheese, mac and cheese, good for brunch. And the other one was going to be a Caribbean take. My stepfather's from Negril, Jamaica, and he's taught me everything Jamaican. And taking that Caribbean aspect and not doing the whole barbecue, but open pit. If you ever been to Jamaica or Negril or Montego Bay, and the first thing everybody wants to get is jerk chicken. And there's a lot of people that's had my jerk and every restaurant I've been, I always have a jerk somewhere. Like right now, the DoubleTree, I have a jerk sauce for our wings. For me, I feel like a Caribbean spot with oxtails, curry goat, jerk chicken tacos, even doing a whole different play on a poutine, taking the products that we cook, whether it's jerk pork, jerk chicken, and coming up with 5 different entrees with that same product. I think the biggest thing to be able to make money is not use as much product, but using one big product to supply multiple menu items that you can sell and that you can get everybody to like.
I love it. All right, get us out of here on this note. Folks are uncertain. We're scared. We're feeling vulnerable. Some of us haven't left our house, dude. I just like you, I got a young child, and we're just trying to survive. We are a platform of hope, though. How about a message of hope anywhere you want to go for everybody that's watching?
Keep your heads up. I was in the same place, and DoubleTree just called me back 3 weeks ago. So we were running out of money, but I kept my head up, and if you have any hobbies, anything, make money off of it. If you like to draw, you like to paint, you like to cook, you like to sharpen knives, anything, you like to cut lawns, any of that, take whatever your hobbies are and try to make some money off until everything kind of boils over, because or boils down. Sorry, um, that's the best way. Keep yourself busy. Learn a new skill. You always want to learn how to code or play the piano. Take that time to learn something new, because teach your kids something that they never learned if you have kids. I think that's what kind of makes this time fly by, and then next year we'll be like, oh man, you remember that COVID thing? Yeah, 2020 sucks,
Yeah.
right? So, so just take that time and just learn something new and just keep your head up and then have fun. This is why I do. I was studying aeronautical engineering and I'm doing what I love, and that's cooking and bringing people together. And food is what brings people together.
And your food does, and you do it well. Chef, thank you for the time. You crushed today's interview. We'll reach out again. All the best to your family.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You take care of yourself.
All right, Chef. Thank you, Jabari. Jabari's great. Look
right.
for his sauces at the farmer's market. I expect that chef to have a place of his own in the near future. And anybody that's watching this program that is looking to invest, that is a guy you can trust, that can execute. His experience, undoubtedly proven experience. Thank you for joining us on the show. A couple headlines I want to get to on the I Love CVille Network. And if you have questions or comments, put them in the comment section. I'm going to get to your comments in about 5 minutes here on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Okay, we added YouTube today as well. So if you're watching live on YouTube, put those comments in the feed as well. All right, Judah, did you see the headline? Judah Wickhauer is our fabulous director. NC State has paused all athletic activity. This was ESPN last night. NC State has paused all athletics related after identifying 27 positive cases within the department. 27 positive cases within the department on Monday. NC State plays Virginia Tech in the opener. The reason I'm bringing this up to you, pausing athletics in Raleigh at NC State a couple of weeks before the Wolfpack play Virginia Tech. This is a concerning story for all of us that want to see college football. NC State has paused all athletic activity after 27 positive cases were found within the athletic department. This story made me worry about the NC State-Virginia Tech college football opener that's a couple of weeks away. Fortunately, in Charlottesville, our athletic department has had no COVID cases since July. Now, here is the difference between NC State and the University of Virginia. One difference. You know what that is? Students have returned to NC State and Raleigh. Students have not returned to the University of Virginia in Charlottesville. Students back in Raleigh, 27 positive cases in the athletic department, all sports paused for the moment. UVA, the athletic department, only 4 COVID cases, and that happened in July. Since July, nothing. The main difference, you don't have thousands of 18 to 22-year-olds running around the football players and the other sports teams in the athletic department. So follow this closely, and I'm curious to see how this is going to impact the Wolfpack and the Hokies in that season opener, guys. Next headline I want to get to, Judah Wickhauer, is 23 football All-Americans not playing. Did you see this one? There's 23 All-Americans, Associated Press All-Americans, that literally will not be playing football this year. You speak about the watered-down nature of college sports and COVID. This proves that point. 23 of the best football players in college football will not be playing college football this fall because their respective universities have stopped football. It makes the product a tad watered down. Fortunately, the ACC is still playing its ACC schedule. Would I have loved to seen a big-time clash with a Big Ten or a Pac-12? Absolutely. But it's not going to happen. 23 All-Americans not playing this season. How many fans in Scott Stadium? That's the question we have to ask. The reason I ask this question, Judah, before you get to that headline, put the Miami Dolphins headline up. The Miami Dolphins and the University of Miami. The University of Miami is an ACC school. The Miami Dolphins will allow 13,000 socially distanced fans at their home opener against the Buffalo Bills. The same plan will be followed for the University of Miami's home opener against UAB at Dolphin Stadium on September 10th. So if you're fans of the Miami Hurricanes and you want to go to their home opener against UAB, you have a chance to go. About 13,000 people. If you're a fan of the Miami Dolphins and you want to go to their home opener against the Buffalo Bills, about 13,000 people will go. Now let's compare and contrast Judah Wickower and get that headline on screen from the Daily Progress to UVA and to Virginia Tech. Both UVA and Virginia Tech are following the guidelines that are in place from the governor, and that limits attendance at Scott Stadium and Lane Stadium to 1,000 people or less. So you look at what the Georgia Bulldogs are doing in Athens. The Georgia Bulldogs in Athens are opening up their home football stadium and their 4 or 5 home football games this season to a 25% capacity. Well, they seat over 90,000 people. That means that Georgia, for home football games, their home field advantage is 23,000 people. I think we can say 23,000 people in an arena can make more noise than 1,000 people, right? So I guess what I'm getting at is not all home field advantages in a COVID-19 world are the same. You travel to play the Georgia Bulldogs in Athens, 23,000 people will be in the fans screaming at you. You travel to Charlottesville to play the University of Virginia, less than 1,000 people will be in Scott Stadium screaming at you. Which home field advantage is better? 23,000 people in Athens? 999 people in Charlottesville. See what I'm getting at? It's just not, it's not democratic. It's not fair. It's not equal. Of course the home stadium with 23,000 fans is going to have an edge over the home stadium that has 999. And I'm very curious to see, as a gambling man, as a betting man, I love proposition bets. Okay, I'm an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs take risk and hedge. That's what they do, instinctually. That's what I've been doing for 12 plus years. Taking risk and hedging risk through strategies that limit that exposure. That's what I do really well. I hedge my risk and take strategic risks that, frankly speaking, have panned out from an advertising standpoint, from this standpoint, from a real estate standpoint, from a stock and equity standpoint. So the question I ask you, and the question I ask all of us, if 23,000 people are in Georgia and 999 people are in Charlottesville, how will the Las Vegas odds makers change the lines to reflect the home field advantages like Georgia's versus the home field advantages like UVA's? Normally, you get 3 points for playing at home. If you're hosting a game, you get 3 points for playing in your own crib. If you're playing in your own crib and there's only 999 people, will Vegas odds makers still kick those 3 points to the home team? Maybe not. Follow that closely. A couple more items I want to get out of the book, J-Dubs. Put your comments in the feed now. We'll get to your comments. We've rolled out a new show on the I Love CVille network. It's the I Love CVille Daily Digest. 5 o'clock on Facebook and Instagram. You get all your news in 5 minutes or less. 5 p.m. across the I Love CVille network, all your news in 5 minutes or less. Watch it at 5 o'clock. Viewer and listener comments, Judah Wickower, my friend. Are you ready for that? Scott Aaronworth, the Esquire from Virginia Beach. Jerry, why does his wife need an assistant? Does Jim Ryan's wife have an assistant? Is the school paying for this? That's a good question. Scott's asking that question in regards to Jerry Falwell, who was captured on Instagram with his arm around his wife's assistant. Both Jerry and the wife's assistant had their pants unbuttoned, and he was drinking some kind of black juice in his hand that he swears this was not booze, and they were on Rick Hendrick's private yacht. This is all factual information. Rick Hendrick, the NASCAR titan, Hendrick Motorsports. Liberty University is a sponsor of Rick Hendrick's racing team. Rick Hendrick invites Jerry Falwell to his private yacht for a party. Falwell's captured on Instagram with his arm around his wife's assistant and both their pants were unbuttoned. Very weird situation that led to the fall of the Falwells. Kelly Lewis is watching. Kelly Lewis is good people. She says, CVille Trevinia, the original crew with a smiley face emoji. Kelly, did you work with Jabari at Trevinia? Or did you help open Trevinia? I'm curious. I loved going to Trevinia, sitting outside with a cocktail around the fire pit, having lasagna. I love going there. But when your rent is $28,000 in Stonefield, that's a hell of a lot of lasagnas you got to sell. Hasta luego, peace out. So long. This is coming from Grace. Grace is watching in Nashville. Jerry, I check in with your show as much as possible. It really reminds me of my years in Charlottesville. My husband and I try to get to Charlottesville as much as possible as well. Thank you for spotlighting so much news on this show. We love to share it with our friends in Nashville as we head from Nash Vegas back to Charlottesville. Thank you for watching, Grace. James Watson, flat out weird. UVA versus Virginia Tech while it's still warm outside, and sadly, that's the best chance of the game happening. James Watson is exactly right. I was confused why UVA and Virginia Tech were playing a game in September. It's very clear that the people who put the schedule together wanted to get the Commonwealth Clash, the most important game on our schedule, in September, so we could at least maybe play this game before we get to the fall when everyone's predicting an outbreak. But it's weird. UVA is going to go into that clash against Virginia Tech, having not played a football game, no live action, and frankly speaking, with NC State pausing athletics, I'm wondering if the Wolfpack and the Hokies will play in the opener. Time will tell. I certainly hope NC State will be able to get its team back on the football field and in practice going back again. All right, a couple things I want to get out of the notebook before we get out of here. Miller's Minute coming up. The I Love CVille Daily Digest today at 5 o'clock. Judah, we let them know how they can save $288 through Ting Fiber Internet. The URL is ilovecville.ting.com, ilovecville.ting.com, and you save the most money you can get on the best internet possible. I mean, you're saving $288. It's a straight up no-brainer, guys. The internet, once you get it through Ting versus the alternative, is like, it's like night and day. It's so cool. There's no buffering. There's no loading issues. It's very, very nice. Judah Wickhauer, I want to give you props for a job well done. Thank you for being a part of this broadcast. You're a key contributor. You know I have a lot of respect for you, homie. We will close on this note from Miller's Minute, brought to you by Scott Wagner of Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. Judah Wickhauer. Scott Wagner, changing people's lives through chiropractic care, sports medicine, and physical therapy. Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. So I've seen a lot of innovation. The innovation I've seen in this COVID-19 landscape, we talked about yesterday on the show. Cully Baggett is doing drive-through or drive-in movies where people can go around Charlottesville and Central Virginia and see a movie on a screen that Cully and his team have set up at breweries and at vineyards and wineries and at strategic spots around Central Virginia. I'm seeing innovation. Someone like Laura Fonner is going from a kitchen in Duners to opening up a food truck called Dumpling. She's getting out of the kitchen and she's bringing the food to you in places like Crozet Park, for example. I'm seeing a chef like Jabari opening up a hot sauce line or a sauce line. And you're going to see this chef, who's very talented, setting up a point of sale at the Charlottesville Farmers Market really soon. So if the word of 2020 is pivot, the second word of 2020 certainly should be innovation. And the folks that are surviving and the folks that are coming out of the other side of this tunnel are the ones that are innovating like they've never innovated before. And I'm going to steal a little thunder from Jabari. If you have a hobby, figure out how to monetize it. If you have a passion, figure out how to monetize it. If you have some free time, figure out another revenue stream to help complement your main revenue stream. It's the innovation and it's the pivot, those two qualities that are going to be needed to come out of this. Because boys and girls, we're going to be in it through 2020. You heard? I'm Jerry Miller. It's the I Love CVille show on the I Love CVille network. We'll see you tomorrow at 12:30.